Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the program Islam Explained. We are joined by our theologian, Omer Ergi. Welcome to the program, Omer.
Hello, Veysel. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Now, it's a pleasure having you here, Omer.
Thank you.
Now, Omer, we are in the holy month of Ramadan at the moment, so I'd like to look at some aspects of this month, and if it is possible for us to talk about the importance of Ramadan. Now, Ramadan is the 9th month of the Islamic calendar. The Quran was revealed in Ramadan. Fasting is an act of worship commanded by God. Now, the rewards in this month are multiplied by many folds. Now, according to some scholars, there are many benefits of fasting in Ramadan. Can we just talk about these benefits, if that's possible, Omar?
Yes, Veysel, inshallah. Well, as you said, Ramadan is the month of the Quran. So it's quite holy and sacred for Muslims, for believers. And it does have, many different aspects and benefits, such as, we can approach Ramadan from the aspect of lordship, governance, mentality of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We can approach it from physical aspects. We can approach it from, spiritual aspects. We can approach it from taming the carnal soul, the nafs. And we can look at it from the perspectives of thankfulness, shukr, sabr, patience. And there are also social aspects of Ramadan as well. In relation to aspects from lordship, as you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala manifests his rububiyyah, which we call lordship, through providing and governing the universe and providing sustenance for us as well. And during Ramadan, in a way, we realize his lordship because being deprived of food, drink, and various other things, bodily pleasures, we realize that everything, originates from him. And we begin to overlook the causalities, like if I look at you one example, think about an orange tree or orange fruit. When the farmer, plants the seed and then waters it, and then gives it enough sunlight, and tree flourishes and then yields fruits. All of these are causalities, what we call causalities, but behind the veil, we know that the giving hand belongs to his lordship, the creator. He's the one who originates things, because human beings, as you know, we don't have the ability or the capability to produce something like an orange. It's magnificent. And during Ramadan, when we are deprived of this sustenance, we realize their value. And then we have this more graceful thinking towards the creator, towards the one who provides all of these things. Yes.
Yeah, we certainly do, Omar. You're right.
Mm.
So, Omar, can we firstly start off with the physical aspects then to fasting?
Yeah, well, there are physical benefits of fasting. As you know, this is we're talking about the human body. How does fasting affect the human body? And there has been a lot of research done on this, and it's proven that fasting, is a form of detoxification, and it clears all the toxins out of your body. And as you know, most of the blood in the human body is used during the digestion. When we are digesting food, and all of the blood rushes to that area trying to digest that food, and we are deprived of enough oxygen and blood by our brains. Our brains are deprived of it as well. So in a way, during Ramadan, we are benefiting by providing more oxygen, more blood to our brains as well. There are many benefits of fasting from a physical perspective, and it should be really on the prescription of all doctors. And we know how obesity is causing such a serious issues around the blood, and Islam tries to overcome this through fasting. And as you know, fasting is not just limited or restricted to Ramadan. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, used to fast every Monday and Thursday as well. So it is part of a Muslim's life, fasting.
Yeah, and we see that.
Yeah. Yes.
We see that today as well, with doctors actually recommending for people to start fasting for health benefits as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as you said, there are a lot of health benefits, but what is more important about the Ramadan fast is, as you mentioned, it's a form of worship. It's one of the 5 pillars of Islam.
Hmm.
So it is mandatory, it's obligatory upon every believer, providing that they have the help to do it. And
Hmm.
and and there are many spiritual benefits of
Yeah.
fasting.
So if we could just look at the spiritual aspects then, Omar.
Yes, yes. Like for example, during Ramadan, we get a chance to tame our carnal desire, what we call the nafs, the carnal soul. And as you know, the human carnal desire is resembled to that of animalistic instincts, impulses. And from a physical perspective, we have no difference to that of the animalistic desires. But during Ramadan, as you know, we sort of abstain from that animalistic life through fasting and abstaining from various other physical activities. And we try to become angelic beings. We try to take that state of being an angelic being. And as you know, in Islamic theology, angels do not eat, do not drink. Angels do not have sexual interactions because they have no genders. They are completely spiritual beings who take pleasure out of worshiping God. And in a way, during Ramadan, by fasting, we are taking the form of an angelic being. We are abstaining from all these physical things as well. So this is one of the unique sides of Ramadan. And why fasting? Why do we worship God through fasting by remaining away or abstaining from food? There is a very famous narration in which it says that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the nafs, the human carnal desire at the beginning, he asked that, who am I and who are you? And this nafs has
Hmm.
been just entered the existence. Imagine that. And the first answer he gave, the nafs gave, our carnal desire, gave to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is that you are you and I am me. So you could see that arrogance right from the beginning. And Allah subhanahu
Hmm.
wa ta'ala said to his angels, punish it. And it was punished, 3 times in a row. And it kept on
Mm.
repeating the same arrogance. It said, you are you and I am me. Until
Hmm.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, starve it, don't give it food for a day. And by the end of the day, when they brought the carnal soul before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the same question was asked, it said, you are my most merciful Lord, Creator, and I am your humble, impotent servant. So in a way, Ramadan gives us the opportunity to tame this carnal desire, this carnal soul, and shape it, and discipline it. It sort of recognizes itself that I am not really, I don't have any qualities of lordship. I'm weak. I cannot even reach out to a morsel of food, a piece of bread. That
Hmm.
means all of these things are bestowed upon me. I
Yeah.
cannot attain them myself. I am not a Lord, but I'm just a servant. So
Yeah.
the nafs realizes this during the Ramadan fast.
It
And
definitely is a form of taming the nafs as well. You're right. What about the component of shukr, being thankful?
that's very important too, because think about it this way. Once a person realizes his or her impotence before the Almighty Creator, that we are ajis in Arabic terminology, that we are weak, impotent,
Hmm.
we cannot even fight a tiny bacteria that we cannot even see with the naked eye. We realize our weakness, and especially we realize this when we are deprived of food and drink and various other necessities. Then, in realization of this, the second thing that entails it is acknowledgement. We acknowledge his might. We acknowledge where the food and sustenance come from. And acknowledgement entails, what does it entail? It entails shukr, which is
Thankfulness.
hamd, which is thankfulness. We feel grateful to the one who provides it.
We certainly
So
do.
yeah,
Yeah.
so Ramadan has that shukr component too, which is
Yeah.
very important. Yeah.
Now, Omar, now some parts of the world where they fast longer than other parts, and it may be summer, long hours.
Mm.
The component of being patient, sabr. What can we say about that?
I think you mentioned a very important component there as well, Veysel, because sabr is, you can say, half of Ramadan. I think there is uh, a, a hadith by the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, which says that half of fasting is sabr, which is patience. And I can easily say that Islam is in a way built on sabr, patience as well. All of the worship is built on sabr, patience as well. And there are various types of sabr in Islam as well. You know, sabr against calamities, problems, illnesses, and various other things. Sabr towards, maintaining worship, continuing obedience. That's a form of sabr too. And sabr towards sins, abstaining from sins, abstaining from committing bad acts. That is a form of sabr as well. And in Ramadan, this is doubles or multiplies because you have that more new components where you cannot eat, you cannot drink, you cannot engage in marital activities and various other things, and you fast with your organs. So there is a sabr component of Ramadan as well. In the Quran, we know that there are verses where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, gives us a glad tiding where he says, Inna Allah sabirin. Allah is with the ones who show patience. And that's very interesting as well. So sabr, patience, is a big part of Ramadan fasting. We can easily say this. Yeah, we see that, don't we?
We see that,
and also in regards to fasting, since you mentioned this topic of sabr and patience, it's important to maybe point out this. There are various types of fasting as well. One type of fasting is probably the most basic level, which we call fasting of the awam, the layman, the average person, which is just fasting with the mouth, with the stomach, abstaining from food and drinks. And then there's another level, which we call, hawas. The way they fast, they are the spiritual elite. They fast with all of their organs, with their eyes. They don't look at unlawful things. With their tongues, they don't, use their tongues for slander, backbiting, and various things. With their ears, they don't listen to evil things. And with their hands, they don't reach out to unlawful things. So they are actually fasting with the entire body. And there is a level above that too, and we call it Hasul Hawas, which means that the elite of the elite. And they also fast with all of these things, but they put another component on top. They fast with their imagination. They fast with their heart. They fast with their soul. They fast with their mind. What I'm trying to say is these evil things, unlawful things, does not even visit their imagination. And that's a very high level of fasting. It's completely spiritual fasting. Yeah, so there are many various.
Just one more point I want to ask is, they always talk about these social aspects of fasting as well. Can we just touch upon that as well?
Yes, we'll touch upon that very quickly as well, briefly. Veysel, there are a few aspects of Ramadan that affects the society as well. There is a social component of it as well, and one of them is, as you know, there is more interaction during Ramadan. Although because of this, COVID-19 at the moment,
it's a bit hard.
We have this social distancing
at the moment.
Yeah. But usually, during Ramadan, almost every night, as you know, Muslims open their houses to guests, their relatives, their neighbors, other people, and they break bread together, share a meal, and this sharing, builds bridges amongst different people. So we have this social interaction component, and we have this empathy component. As you know, a wealthy person who has never experienced what hunger is will never understand the situation of a person who is starving, who is living in poverty. But through fasting during Ramadan, actually wealthy people get the chance to experience what those people are experiencing. So instead of developing pity, they actually develop empathy. They realize what they're feeling. And this usually entails charity, support, sharing. So in a way, you can see that there is this very important social component of Ramadan fasting there as well.
And we see that Muslims during this month become very charitable as well.
Indeed, they do, yeah. And they give their zakats, as you know, alms, usually during Ramadan as well. Yes. But we should maybe end this conversation with the most important part of Ramadan, because you mentioned this right at the beginning. You said it's the month of the Quran, and the Quran says, شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. It is the month in which the Quran was revealed. So Muslims should recite the Quran in abundance, especially during Ramadan, where the rewards are multiplied by thousandfold, as you
Yeah.
said.
So we should make most of this time at the moment of this
Indeed,
month.
we should, yes.
Inshallah. I'd like to thank you, Omar, for giving your knowledge, sharing your knowledge with us today.
Thank
And
you.
I'd like to thank our viewers on Islam Explained, and we'd like to see you next time on Islam Explained. Assalamu alaikum.
All right.